I hate this episode so much. It's like flames. Flames at the side of my face, burning, heaving, heavy breaths. But welcome to Lost All Caps.
Flames. That's good, I like that.
Thank you.
That is, if you're not aware, a reference to the Cluedo movie.
Yeah. Go watch it, it's very funny.
It is really funny. It's a very good film.
Flames at the side of my face. It's iconic. I think about that a lot.
Yeah, it's like a classic. It's like a classic quoted moment. So, and accurate.
Yeah.
So, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this episode.
Me too.
It's maybe the worst episode of the whole show.
It's up there. It's definitely top 5 worst of all time.
Top 5 worst moments. That one scene. I just think, yeah, I really don't like. We really didn't want to do it today. We didn't want it. We were like, I said we should have saved the biscuit thing, and then just sacked off this entire episode and spent 2 hours talking about the biscuit thing instead.
Which I personally think is still a possibility. We might well.
We might just bring it back.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Ariel, by the way.
And I'm Velvet, and this is
we
Lost All
both hate
Caps.
the episode. It's going to be a fun one today. No, well, you're going to get to hear us rant, which is going to be fun.
Yeah,
You're
we're going to do
enjoy
lots of
this.
complaining.
Okay, content warning for domestic abuse and incest.
And also, like, misogyny.
Misogyny, there's a lot of violence as well as a very bloody scene. We're going to try and talk about the incest as little as possible.
Because, mostly, also, I would like to say, because it's barely fucking there. It's like, this is, right, possibly my main beef with this episode, okay, is that I have a lot of beef with this episode, on every possible level. But the thing is, when I first watched it, like, for the first time, like, 2 years ago, I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
And then upon rewatching, like, the second time and the third time, I've been like, well, maybe this time I'll pick up on the hints. I'll see it coming. No.
Yeah.
It is not relevant to the story at any point before this episode. Like, even in this episode, it's only really the one scene.
It is. I'd argue the only sort of hints lead up we get to it is how, like, weird and possessive Boone is of Shannon. Like, all those sort of broody shots where he's just staring at her and Saeed. You can tell that, right?
I mean, yes, I suppose. And something very weird is going on.
Very, very weird.
But I still think, like, it's so easily avoidable.
Yeah.
Is more my beef.
It's just, why was it included? Oh, and also, gang, there's audio commentary for this episode.
Oh, fucking hell.
If you have access to the DVDs and the audio commentary, do not fucking listen to this one.
Don't.
It's horror.
It's just, when, you know, the thing is, like, we say the writers are misogynists so often. And it's like, because it's like, you can fucking tell. It comes out in the writing. The way they treat women in the show is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, visually also, the way, especially Shannon, are, like, shot. But it's like, you can say that in the abstract, but hearing it come from the writers' mouths is really quite awful. And the way that they talk in the commentary of this episode is...
It was upsetting.
It's just gross. It's just gross.
It was gross. It was pervy. It was, and also, the guy who wrote this episode was one of the people on the audio commentary. I believe his name was Harvey. I'm not sure, but this was the first episode of Lost that he wrote.
What a way to enter!
I mean, it's a big swing. It is a big
swing and a miss.
It's bold. It is very bold.
It's really something.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
So this episode is also episode 13, which I think is fitting.
It is fitting.
It's unlucky.
Very unlucky. Also, this is actually the first note I made about this episode, is the incest is so out of the blue that on the Lost Wikipedia, I think it's on Boone's, I don't know, I read it somewhere on the Lostpedia, one of the foreshadowing moments is that the girl Boone's playing tennis with looks a bit like Shannon. That's how out of the blue it is, that even the obsessive fans cannot find hints.
Some way in which it's free. I mean, she does, to be fair.
She does. Admittedly, when I first watched this episode, I thought that was Shannon.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like her, and they used to be friends, and now they hate each other.
But I mean, let's talk about that briefly. How close do you think that Boone and Shannon are off island? Pre the obvious. I mean, like, because so she rings him up and stuff, but I really can't figure out how often they talk to each other other than that.
I don't think very often.
But then why does she immediately go to him? Do you know what I mean?
Because she wants his money.
Yeah, but like, why does she think that this will work?
I guess
it has in the past.
I suppose it's like he's probably always been a bit weird.
I mean, she knows that he's in love with her, right?
Yeah, she's exploiting that. But also, I mean, like, there's enough, like, sibling, like, what did Boone say her parents got married when they were, like, 10 and 8?
Yeah.
So there's still enough of that, like, childhood that they spent together where they would have been forced to hang out, that there's enough of a bond, I think, just by proxy of it, they're having to be, that they've got something, you know, that they can still call each other up and say hi, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
But, like, he doesn't even know she's in Australia.
Yeah, but I get the impression that she just moves around a lot.
I mean, she was in France for a while, wasn't she?
So, yeah. She will just, like, follow a man to a random country, and this isn't so shocking for him.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to talk about the flashbacks now? Get it out of the way?
Let's just do it now.
Okay. So, let's Boone's flip phone comes back.
We love Boone's flip phone. Star of the episode, really. Saving grace of the episode.
And is he like drinking wine while playing tennis?
It's so very like preppy, rich, like
rich little boy.
It's like, you know, you never read them. Do you remember Dork Diaries?
Fucking hell.
So
many up-to-date relevant cultural references on this show.
So if any of you listeners didn't read Dork Diaries, if you're not, you know, if you weren't a 13-year-old girl in 2018, there was a series, it was kind of like Diary of a Wimpy Kid for girls, essentially was Dork Diaries. It was about like a girl called Nikki in a middle school, and she had a crush on a boy, and there was a mean girl who also had a crush on the same boy, except he liked Nikki, he didn't like Mackenzie, the mean girl. Mackenzie. And Mackenzie, there was one book, it was my favourite one, where it's Nikki's diary, and then Mackenzie finds it, and then she keeps a diary for like 6 months.
Whoa.
Crazy, right?
Plot twist.
And then you get to see into her life, and it's a bit of a like redeeming the bitch girl, but also she's still horrible. And the way she talks about her, that's like kind of how I picture Boone's life. It's Mackenzie's childhood, because she's like, she talks about like buying this like spending loads of money on these shirts, and then she goes out and buys another one so she can cut the shirt and cover the diary with the shirt, so she's matching her diary. And she goes to the country club to have all her birthday parties, and she like has rich parents who never talk to her, and like this is just kind of how I picture Boone's life looking. He's Mackenzie. Well, I guess Shannon's Mackenzie, but it's funnier if Boone's Mackenzie. And that's kind of always what I think of, and the tennis thing really encapsulates that, I think.
Shannon's not rich. This is the whole point. She has to get the money off of Boone because
she lost her inheritance when it's her dad died. Boone's mum, who runs the wedding business, took all of the dad's money.
Maybe you don't know who my mother is. What the fuck are you on?
I know, I have. What have I written down?
Why do you think that this is going to help you in a random police station in Australia?
Tries to play the mother card. Ugh, he's so pathetic.
Yeah, he is so pathetic. It's
I know.
Ridiculous.
You're in a different country. Let's talk about the most exciting part of the flashbacks, though, if we're doing flashbacks now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the most exciting part of the flashbacks. Sawyer cameo.
That's so fun, right?
Might be the only time I've been excited to see Sawyer.
Yeah.
Because it's like, whoa. Because also what this does as well is it dates the flashback.
That's true.
Really immediately, because it's like, yeah, they're in Australia, so you assume that, like, it's setting up for the plane crash, but also they could have been in Australia for weeks or whatever. But the fact that Sawyer's there is, it's like, it's gotta be, you know, a couple of days before.
We don't know how long Sawyer's been in Australia, though, to be fair.
That's true. I mean, he was doing this con... Oh, no, that was
years
in America.
ago. Yeah, in America, but years ago.
We've not seen him in Australia yet.
Because his hair is all slicked
His
back
hair's
and
all
smirky.
Gelled, which
With
is the
his
cover
smirk.
of this DVD.
Yes, we're on a new DVD, and Sawyer's on the cover, which I feel like is an omen for... It's like
Things to
strapping.
come. But also, that scene with Sawyer, that's the stepsister sibling reveal, right?
Yeah.
Weird. Could I just say, really weird that they kept it secret for that long, for it to be 2 scenes later, they're kissing each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always found Sawyer's cameo a little bit weird as well, because it's played in a weird way. First of all, it's like, well, I guess we're supposed to be like, ooh, what's he being arrested for? But I was just like, but what's he being arrested for?
Yeah.
And
I guess they said in the commentary, like, he's drunk, didn't they? So I guess they were like...
Do they?
Yeah, I think Maggie Grace says, like, I think Sawyer should just be drunk in the background of everyone's flashbacks.
Oh, yeah, she did say that as well.
So I guess it's like a drunk and disorderly.
Yeah. And then the police officer says, like, oh, if that was her friend, then I'd have reason to arrest him. And I was just like, oh, that's horrifying on so many
island
levels.
with that guy.
He's first of all, he then ends up on the island. And interesting that she then ends up going for Saeed and not Sawyer. I don't really know what to make of that, but...
Well.
But then, like, just a really, like, insensitive thing for a police officer to say about someone who's reporting a case of domestic abuse.
Yeah. I know we said we're a big fan of everyone Australian.
Not that guy.
Not this guy.
That guy's a twat.
I appreciate the acknowledgement that Sawyer's a creep, though.
Yeah.
It's few and far between.
Yeah, that's true.
Within the way they frame the show. So a little part of me is a bit like, well, at least he's pointing out that Sawyer sucks.
But could it have been done in a different scenario, please?
Yes, absolutely. And then we don't need to talk about the hotel scene, but what I think maybe as a replacement for discussing it,
yes,
I'm going to read you what I wrote down while this scene was happening, in lieu of having to look at the screen. This is what I wrote down. So completely insane. Full stop. What? Full stop. Literally, what are you talking about? Full stop.
Amazing. I honestly don't think I even wrote anything. I was like, I've got nothing to say. Apart from, you know, like, if you have to use the word technically, then you're in a sticky situation. Come on.
Yeah.
We don't need that. And also, there is a fun thing, though.
Oh, yes, we can talk about the fun thing.
There's one fun thing. So, not in the audio commentary. In the audio commentary, first of all, so it's like a writer and a producer and Maggie Grace and Ian Somerhalder, right?
Yeah.
It's all very weird.
It's really awkward.
It's super awkward.
Wrote down, like, they keep asking the actors questions.
Yeah.
Because clearly they don't want to say anything. They keep being like, and so how do you prepare for the scenes? Like, what do you guys do? And they're always like, yeah, well, we like to go sit in our trailers because it's hot. And I'm like, clearly you do not want to talk about this episode.
It's so funny and awful and awkward because...
It's terrible, but it's also, like...
But then there is another behind the scenes thing
Yeah.
where there's just like a little interview with the two of them on set where they are making jokes like, hey, we like to keep it in the family, guys, you know.
Yeah.
They clearly are...
They're making light of it. This is quite a common thing, actually. A lot of the episodes, there's like a little behind the scenes of how they did the flashbacks.
Yes.
Which is always quite fun and interesting to watch. Because a lot of the flashbacks actually are shot in Hawaii. And they just like redesign the houses to make them look American or whatever, which is really quite interesting from like a film perspective.
Including this one, like that whole harbour area is just a part of Hawaii, which is pretty cool because it really looks like Australia. Anyway, they are doing a little interview with the two of them.
And they're joking around. And I think clearly they didn't really like it and they didn't want to say so in front of the people who'd written it. So that's why the audio commentary is really awkward.
Yes. Which is why you don't listen to that, you listen to this podcast, because we're going to sit here and go, it's fucked up and weird and strange.
And I don't care if Javier, whatever, hears this. I think it's gross.
Yeah, actually, we want to have words, Javi.
Yeah, actually, if you do hear this, send me a message.
Yeah.
I'd like to chat.
Because on the audio commentary, you seem to be defending your decision quite vehemently.
Quite impassioned.
Yeah, so we want to have some words. And Maggie Bracey and Sohal just sat there like looking at each other, I imagine, during this audio commentary recording. But yeah, they do a little interview on this like behind the scenes thing where they talk about how Maggie Grace pranked him at one point. So it's like cut between the two of them giving both their sides of the story.
They're both telling the story in separate
funny.
Interviews.
And she basically says that they'd finished filming for the day, but she was like, guys, go get him and tell him we need to do one more shot for the kiss scene because I've got something funny planned. So he's like, so I was called back. They were like, there's lighting was wrong or something. We've got to retake the kiss. And what she'd done is she'd cut up or like chewed up a bunch of onions and garlic, put it in her mouth. And then when they said like unrolling, she went to like kiss him and just like pushed all of this gross onion and garlic into his mouth.
So gross.
It's awful. And like if that happened to me, I would be livid.
But it's so funny.
But it is really funny. And also I feel like they probably both felt like something like that was needed after filming.
Yeah, kind of clear the air. I think they talked about like there was some kind of prank before that. I think it was a bit of a thing with the cast. They do these stupid
Little
things to
pranks
each other. And that was like the first one she did was that. And then they all thought it was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's really fun.
It is.
And that, like, I remember we watched that and we were like, oh, well, I feel a bit better about that episode now because those two seem to be, like, laughing and joking about it and it's a bit less, like, weird.
Yeah. Right, well, I think that's covered.
That's that done. I have something fun to use as a segue.
Go for it.
And I haven't told you about this. So, how do I set this up? You can't see me right now. Dear listener. But I'm wearing a grey shirt, and under this grey shirt I have a t-shirt on, and I entirely unintentionally, did not plan this, have my Boone shirt on today.
Oh!
So it's not a shirt he wears in the show, this one. It's but it's a t-shirt that has the planets on in like a Newton's cradle, and I got it from my friend, actually from Elle, our editor. And I cut the sleeves off for the summer because I thought it would be cool. And I was like, it's hot. And then I was like, it looks like a shirt that Boone would wear because I really like Boone's fashion actually because I think he has a lot of fun graphic t-shirts.
He does.
And I was like, this looks like something he would wear. And we're starved for fashion on this show. We've established this. And I was like, this looks like something he would wear. So I've been calling it my Boone shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely unintentionally put it on today. And I didn't realise until I like went to the bathroom before filming and I was like tucking it back into my trousers. So I was like, oh, my Boone shirt.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. We've had an outfit reveal. First outfit reveal on the podcast. And it wasn't from me.
It wasn't from you.
What
How crazy
fuck?
is that?
So can we talk about how the previously on is so long and it's basically just a John and Boone edit?
It's basically like a supercut of all their best moments.
Yeah.
Also, it's so long, but they don't even... The metal clunk isn't even in the
it.
previously on.
Yeah.
I did think it was
weird.
quite cool the way they cut it together, though, how the, like, where have you guys been bit from the previous episode was before the, like, rain and they're not back yet, even though that happened after. I thought the way they cut it together was quite cool. But, like, it didn't need to be that cinematic, it was previously on.
Yeah. You could basically hear Good Luck Babe playing in the background.
Literally. It's fascinating.
It was interesting way to start.
I think that's actually a really interesting aspect of this episode, is less so Boone and Shannon and, like, Boone and John as a dynamic, and John's weird mysticism, and how he uses that, sort of weaponizes it against Boone, I think is actually really fascinating.
Yeah, so we get a lore drop about the hatch, don't we? We can now call it the hatch.
So it's a hatch.
We know it's a hatch now. And they refer to it as the hatch throughout the rest of the show. So we were like, the steel.
The metal under the island. It's a hatch.
It's the hatch. So they're trying to, like, excavate the hatch, right? And they're like, there's a window on it. I mean, that's hugely exciting.
So it's not metal under the island. That something's under there that needs to look out? Question mark?
Yeah, or there needs to be light let in.
People need to look in.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can't see anything through the window. Otherwise, we would have found that out by now. Have a little peek.
Yeah.
But, like, and then it's sealed.
And there's no handle.
There's no handle. The door is sealed shut.
Yeah. I mean, what could it mean?
What the hell is down there?
Crazy, right?
It's so wild.
And I actually really like John's speech about Michelangelo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god, I thought it was such bullshit. It went on for so long.
It's a nice little story.
I was like, you don't need to keep telling this. You could have just, like, skipped all the preamble and gone straight to the marble bit. You didn't need to do it all.
I mean,
he just went on for ages.
He's painting a picture.
But I don't want to look at the picture.
You don't want to look at the beautiful art that he's painting with his words.
I want him to get on with it.
No, that's the whole point. He can't get on with it. He's working. He's looking at it.
I know, but it feels like the moth thing. It feels like another one of John's really obvious metaphors that, like, they've sat in the writer's room and gone, oh, this is so clever. And it's like, so... It's like, do you ever wake up from a dream and be like, well, the symbolism was a bit heavy-handed? Like, do you ever have, like, a stress dream where you wake up and you're like, well, that's really obvious what I'm upset about? That's what all of John's speeches feel like to me.
Yeah.
They feel like waking up from a dream where it's really obvious what I'm upset about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. But I do think it's heavy-handed, but I don't think it is as bad as the moth thing, because at least it's interesting.
I would say I prefer the moth metaphor.
Really?
Yeah.
But the moth one is so dumb.
But I quite like the idea that, like, the struggle is what it needs to be strong enough to survive. I quite like that as a moral of the story.
Well, I think the moral of... It's not really a moral, but the idea of it being, like, just sitting here and looking at this thing is an important part of the process of opening it. I prefer that as an idea. Because as well, like, you've got the whole pressure of the food running out, haven't you?
Yeah.
And they've been telling everyone they've been going off to catch food and then they haven't been. And Hurley, I love when Hurley gets real with Boone. He's like, this isn't a game, man. And it's like, yeah bitch. Like, you're
their
just
lives
sat
are on the
there.
line.
Yeah. Staring at this thing. But I kind of like that they're sat there staring at the thing because it's very mystical and cool.
No, it is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. I just thought the metaphor itself was a bit nothing. But I think the whole thing, and, like, the way John so effortlessly lies to Jack as well about the boar, I think that's really cool. When it's like, he's just like, we're not going to catch anymore. And it's like, that's completely not true. They're just not trying. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There was also, speaking of good luck, babe, that scene, I have written down, John, between you and me, Jack, always, okay. Jesus Christ, okay, hopelessly devoted to one another. Hello? I was like, whoa, where did that come from? Suddenly they're all like, because they don't like each other.
That's true.
And suddenly they're all like, yeah, just you and me.
Yeah. I did think that was a bit odd. But
I was just like, where did that come from?
But then it's like, this is how you got to play along with John. This is the thing.
I guess. Maybe Jack was sort of like,
come on. This is the only way I'm going to get any information out of him.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think this is true, but is Jack wearing the shirt that John crashed in?
I think he is. Because Jack wears that shirt. I think maybe he was wearing it last episode. He wears it a bit.
Sometimes.
And it does look exactly... Because John never wears that shirt again. Once John's on island, he's in his, like, khaki t-shirts and his fishing vest, and that's basically all he wears for the entire show.
Yeah.
I think Jack and John genuinely do have, like, the world's weirdest character dynamic between them. And I've seen some interesting takes on Tumblr about this, actually. Which is, sorry to whoever wrote this, but I am stealing it. Of, like, they don't have a father-son relationship, even though it's kind of set up in a way that you'd think they might. where it's like John is older and Jack has just lost his dad and has all these weird issues, and Jack's dad is like this magical sort of ghost of the island, and John understands the magic of the island, and like there's that kind of weird synergy, but actually they don't have like a weird father-son relationship. What they have is like, we're both in charge and I don't like you.
Yeah.
But they have this they're like intertwined in the sense that they're the capable ones and they know that they have all this weight on their shoulders. It's like a shared weight of supporting all the survivors. But also they fundamentally just don't really like each other. I think it's really fascinating as a character dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree that I never thought that was like an indication of father-son between them.
No, never.
Do you think there's a father-son relationship between John and Boone? Because they said that in the audio commentary, didn't they?
Yeah,
They went,
don't know.
there's kind of like this father-son thing set up between you. But I didn't really read it like that either.
No, I think it's more of like a scout leader. Sort of. It's more of like, he's not your dad, but he's like a cool guy who you kind of want to be your dad, who's teaching you things. Like, that's more the vibe I get. Like, Boone, because the thing about Boone is, as we've established, he really wants to be helpful, but in his nature, he's just not very helpful when it comes to the things they need, because he's like rich and doesn't do things. And like, but what he wants from John is like a mentor thing. Yeah. Like, he wants to learn how to be helpful, and he wants to learn how to be cool and hunt and predict the weather and unlock the magic, and he wants to learn that. But I don't think it's a father thing.
No.
I just don't think John's particularly fatherly.
No. No, I don't think so.
I think he gets set up in these sort of because also he's got this thing going on with Walt as well. But that's not like fatherly.
No.
That's maybe grandfatherly a little bit. As in like the weird relative you go talk to at like the function. You know, you go to the Christmas party and you're like, I'm gonna go talk to my weird granddad. And listen to his war stories or whatever. That's a bit sort of the Walt John dynamic.
Yeah, a bit more.
But like he never really gets that like fatherly thing going, even though he has plenty of opportunities to.
Yeah. I don't think he's got that paternal energy. It's more he's a druid.
Yeah.
You know, like he's just this older magical being.
He's like the wise old sage.
Yeah.
But he's not the dad.
Oh, can we talk about that really cute little scene with Michael and Walt?
Yeah.
It's literally like 2 seconds, but I thought it was so adorable the way that he was just, Walt was just playing with Vincent and Michael's just like...
Yeah, he's got his bag back.
Got his bag back.
And he had that like box.
Yeah.
Mysterious wooden box. What's in there, Michael? And like that whole scene I really like, actually. It's something I really like about the caves, is you get... Any cave scene, you get these little moments of all the different characters. Because there's Hurley's there and he's talking to Michael, and then Jin brings the fish to Hurley, and that's like a resolution of that plotline. But then Jin goes to talk to Sun, and it's like Michael's watching Jin talk to Sun.
And so is Kate.
And so is Kate, and this like Michael and Kate both know that Sun speaks English and is pretending not to. Like, I think all of that, like, it does a really good job of, like, it doesn't kind of shove it in your face, but it's like, there's all these character dynamics going on, and there's all these things that, like, even though we've been talking about Boone and Shannon, Michael still knows Sun speaks English, and that's still a big part of it. Yeah. You know?
That's a really good point. That scene actually just ties off all the plot lines, doesn't it? Because then Jack comes over to Kate by the end.
Yeah.
Gives her the seeds. So that
for
ties
the garden.
Off their little weird flirty scenes.
They had a weird thing going on this episode. I'm not really sure about it.
Me neither.
The watching thing, I have written down, my second note of this episode is everyone's doing stalking this episode, because like the first thing we see is Boone creepily watching Shannon and Saeed.
I wrote horrifyingly hilarious to describe the way he stares at them.
And then we have like Jack watching Kate from a distance. But then I guess it's a bit of a sweet thing, because it's like he's just like, I wasn't hiding, I just didn't want to interrupt you, you know. Yeah. He just kind of wanted to like watch what she was doing.
But what I do like is Kate in this episode, because we get the fact that she just goes off into the jungle by herself to collect it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she says that she found Sun's garden because she was just out picking
Wandering
fruit.
around.
I love that she's just got her own agenda. She's just like, we need fruit, I'm gonna go get fruit. Like,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. Like,
She doesn't need to be like, what's John doing? She's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go pick some
hey
mangoes.
Jack, can I go get some fruit? No, that's not her. She's just gonna go do it. And I love that for her. And I gotta say, on this rewatch, I'm liking Kate a lot more. I'm like, she's so great.
I love Kate. I've always loved Kate.
I have too, but she was never like one of my faves. But
Yeah.
in the early eps, I think she is one of the faves.
She's brilliant. I think she's great.
Yes,
and I think the garden
The
thing.
garden is so lovely.
It's so cool. I love the garden thing so much.
Mhm.
And like, I love that Sun and Jin have this sort of self-sufficient thing going on. Like, she's just gone, again, very similar to Kate. She's just kind of taken herself off into the woods and started planting a garden
Yeah.
without, and obviously she can't
She doesn't really have a
ask
choice.
people, but also she makes no attempt to be like, I'm planting a garden, come help me. She's just like, I'm gonna go do it.
But that's also partially because her husband doesn't let her talk to other people.
It's a bit different. It's a bit less of a yes, girl boss moment. But that like Jin is off catching fish and Sun is like I'm like, aside from their marital problems, if they'd been the only survivors of the crash, they'd be so fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd survive. So fine is maybe a bit of an overstatement. They'd have some issues to unpack, but like they would not be concerned about surviving. Which I just think is really funny.
Yeah. No, completely. And like with the whole Hurley Jin plotline this episode, obviously it's just our comedic relief, really.
Yeah.
But it really shows how reliant the rest of them are on these two, even though they're kind of like isolated and self-sufficient, as you say, they would be fine on their own, but everyone else wouldn't be fine without them.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think Hurley's so funny. I felt, we talked about the hay fever moment. I do feel very seen in this episode as well. As an IBS warrior, I feel very seen by Hurley's fruit complaints.
Yeah. Speak your truth. Go on. Have your moment.
It's my first concern in any given like fantasy TV show is what's the toilet situation. And I really like that we get that addressed.
We do.
He's got the leaves.
Yeah.
He's talking about having the shits. I think it's quite, actually, genuinely, joke aside, I do think it's quite fun that they put that in.
Yeah.
Because often TV just kind of tries to forget that, like, going to the toilet and showering and, like, or, cooking meals and stuff is something you need to do. But, like, this show actually is like, yeah, they're shitting in the woods, just in case you weren't aware. And I like that it kind of makes that a bit more obvious.
Yeah. Agreed. And I mean, it is kind of the only time it ever comes up, but it comes up.
There's one more time it comes up. I'll talk about the things that I am happy about in the side plots actually first. So what I like about...
We are trying so hard to keep the energy positive today.
Trying to keep it light.
We are...
The instinct with characters who don't, like, the language barrier, the instinct is like, and they'll do their own thing. And actually that's like a memory. I remember talking to Dad about this. He was like, well, I remember them just kind of being off on their own for like all of series 1. And he was actually really shocked that their backstory came in so soon.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I remember them being like mysteries for such a long time. But like actually, we talked about the like self-sufficient thing, but they don't isolate themselves.
No. Really.
Like obviously Sun actively goes to Michael and like talks to him. But like even Jin, who genuinely doesn't speak English, is like, he helps Hurley catch the fish. Like, he still shows him how to do it. And, like, gives him the, like, whatever it is, oyster urchin thing. And, like, talks him through. And there's, like, a kind of a nice moment. There's, like, a moment where he's, like, laughing with Hurley. And it's, like, a little bit of, like, a nice...
Yeah.
It's, like, maybe he's not this, like... big villain.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of a crack kind of shows through of this, of like the Jin that we see in the flashbacks, who's like very sweet and romantic with Sun. And I think that's really nice. And I love with Sun as well, the English reveal. It's possibly the best way to do it, because it's so like
cute,
you don't even think. And obviously she doesn't even think.
Yeah.
And like something else that I really love is Kate is lying to Sun. Fully believing she doesn't understand anything that she's saying.
Yeah.
Kate is still lying. She's still going, I was going to go to Bali and then, like, I ended up in Australia, now I'm on LA and I wanted to explore the island. Complete lies.
Yeah.
I like to think she's maybe, like, testing out her backstory. She's like, this is my cover story.
This is her yes and moment.
Yeah.
She's like, so Bali. Yeah, Bali. It's a great holiday destination, right? You know, and
She's like testing out her cover story because she's like, I'll practice it now talking to a person.
Yeah.
And then the next time someone English asks me,
what I need from you guys is a place.
Bali!
Great. Okay. Let's keep that ball rolling.
And, like, she's still actively lying.
Yeah.
But that's
also crazy because Sun has heard part of her real backstory.
Yes, she did,
like,
of course!
3 episodes ago.
I completely forgot about that, yes! She's overheard Jack and Kate talking about the thing, so Sun maybe knows she's lying a little bit. But also Sun's like, well, I'm lying about something pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and, like, Sun, like, the laughing at the joke, it's just so perfect because it's like, you wouldn't think of, like, hiding that.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta say, when I first watched this, I thought that was so dumb. Because I was like, you are keeping this huge secret from everyone in your life. You were gonna, like, run away and leave your husband and blah, 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 blah. And you've had to keep this speaking English huge secret. And then suddenly you just, like, let it slip. Laughing at a joke, and you don't even try and pretend that you weren't, and then you just suddenly, she knows that you speak English. However, on this watch through, I noticed that she does. There's a moment where you can see on Sun's face where she goes, fuck. And then she's just, like, carries on, like raking something with her hands or whatever in the garden. So she's clearly trying to move on from it. But Kate's the one who's like, no, you understood me then. You understood me.
Yeah, and I think it's so great as well because it's like the laughing at the joke, obviously it was just like a knee-jerk reaction. Like it was something she didn't go like, oh, haha, that's funny. Like she just laughed and like then was like,
a good scene.
Shit.
Oh, ha, ha, that's funny.
She said that in perfect English and then gone.
Sorry, what? Huh?
I think also there's a level of, like, she's overheard this little bit of Kate's secrets. I think she kind of knows that she can trust Kate with that.
I think so too.
And also it's the, like, Kate's a girl's girl.
Kate's a girl's girl! Come on!
You know, Kate is so... we don't see it nearly enough.
No.
Because Kate is shoved in with the men far too often, but she loves the other guy.
No pun intended.
She's like such a big girl's girl. She supports the other women.
Yeah.
So she's like Claire's biggest advocate. She's like, she loves Sun. She's like, it's like that even like, please don't tell anyone. Kate's just like, yes.
She's like, I wouldn't dream of it, you know?
Immediately.
Yeah.
And I love that actually Sun gets that from Michael as well. Like everyone he finds out is immediately like, no, I'm on your side. Because obviously she's not really had that in her life.
Yeah.
Like, people see Jin and she's so scared to talk to anyone about what's going on between her and Jin, and then suddenly she's got this kind of these like Americans who are like, oh yeah, no, he sucks. No, it's alright, it's so fine, we'll keep your secrets, and that must be really weird for her.
Yeah, but really nice in a way. And I think that little scene between them where she's like, you're still lying to your husband about it, and then she goes, the reason is because she loves him.
Yeah, see, that's really interesting.
Isn't it? Because it's like, so what is she implying by that? Is she saying that, like, now, since, because obviously she hated him and their marriage was in tatters and she was going to run away, but then she changes her mind in the airport, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She comes back, and then they've been in the crash and everything since then. In that time period, she's realised that she loves him.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to reveal that she was going to run away.
Because I think she's scared of how that he will react to that as like it's over, everything's awful.
Yes.
And this, like, he has a bad temper. You know, we saw the way he went off on Michael about a watch, finding out his wife's going to run away from him.
Yeah, but it's not that she's afraid of him, it's that she loves him.
Yeah.
So I think it's more like she's embarrassed that she, like, didn't.
Yeah, like she wants to save him from that kind of pain of finding out that she was going to run away.
Yeah. But it's all very complicated, isn't it?
It's all very complicated, and I love that it's complicated. And I love that it's weird, and I love also that she loves him.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm trying to get away from him, but I can't because we're on an island.
Yeah.
It's like, she does love him.
But then you're sat there like thinking,
But, like,
how much of that is the residual manipulation?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're kind of like...
It's...
But then she says to Kate, have you never lied to a man that you loved? And we had the reveal last episode. It belonged to a man I loved. It belonged to the man I killed. And I was like... You know? Like,
fucking crazy.
Sun has no idea how important that sentence is for Kate. Do you know what I mean?
It's so crazy.
Well, this is all assuming that that's true, of course. I think we had this
Yeah.
discussion last episode where I was like, I initially thought she was just lying. Like,
The
it
man I
belongs to the
loved
man
was
I
a
loved.
lie, yeah.
But if she did love him and then kill him,
Then this is a crazy moment for her.
right?
She's like, kill him. Son,
I can help you hide the body.
let's kill him. I've done this before. Come get me when he falls asleep tonight. Oh, can we talk about Jack's key necklace?
Jack's key necklace.
Oh, the key necklace.
Talk about
it's
being starved for fashion. I don't think so.
Oh, the key
The
necklace.
key necklace is so cool.
I love the key necklace so much.
Me too. It's so cool.
great.
And like, it's akin to the handcuff on Jin's wrist as
Yeah.
well. That's still there. It's
I
kind of
love
like
that the handcuff's still there.
they've become little accessories that are really cool, but they're like super practical. Do you know what I mean? Like, the only reason he's got the key on his neck is because he can't let Sawyer get hold of the key.
Yeah, and also if he puts it in his pocket, he's probably like, Kate's gonna steal it.
Yeah.
Because like he's watched her
Steal it before.
literally steal the key off him. So he's like, he's gotta have it where it literally can't be taken from him. But it looks so cool.
It looks really cool.
It looks so cool.
Come on.
And like Charlie has a fashion necklace. Which has something on it. I can never tell what it is. It's like it's very similar. It's like a black string that's got some kind of charm or something on. And the one scene between Jack and Charlie, I was just like, they're necklace buddies. And like Charlie's like, oh man, you're stepping up your fashion. Let me cut your sleeves off your shirt.
Yeah.
Put some eyeliner on you.
Yeah. I do quite like that little scene.
It's a cute scene. There's a lot of little scenes between, like, it's very telling when we don't like the flashbacks, when we focus on the little moments.
We're like, guys, isn't everything other than the main plotline in this episode great?
So cute.
It's the best!
But, like, there's a lot of kind of little moments with Jack. It's one of those Jack has to stay relevant episodes, but in, like, a fun way. Because it's like...
I spat my water everywhere then.
Because it's like, it's not Jack has to stay relevant. Because a lot of the time, in the Jack has to stay relevant moments, it's Jack who's being really annoying and being
Yes.
like, tell me what's going on. But in this episode, it's more like, you know, Jack goes to Charlie to give him the aspirin and he's like, how are you doing? Are you okay? And it's like, Saeed goes to Jack to talk about the compass and John goes to Jack to talk to him about the like Boone situation, or like he just kind of is walking along and Jack's like, where's Boone? It's a lot more casual.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're just like chatting. And I like Saeed and Jack sort of teaming up briefly in this episode.
Can we just talk about the Saeed scenes? Come on, they're
Saeed!
great. Saeed! Yeah. Apart from where the bits with Shannon.
The shoe thing,
Shoes.
couldn't give a shit. Also, you're on an island. I know. I know.
I don't even know why it's so funny.
I understand the gesture. Being like, I found this in the luggage, I thought you'd like it. But Saeed, ever the practical
I know.
person. Also, like, I've seen, because I noticed a few episodes ago, back in like episode 6, that Shannon was walking around with no shoes on. Because I was like, yeah, why is everyone insisting on wearing shoes on the beach? That must be really annoying. So she doesn't need them.
Apparently.
And I know.
I know.
I know it's romantic, and I know it's because she likes shoes. I know. But also, what?
Apparently every practical, fibre of his being goes out the window when he has a little crush on someone.
Which, been there. But also, you've got Rousseau. Do you think she wants shoes?
Absolutely not.
No!
She
Bring
would be
her a
like-
gun!
She'd be like, oh wow, these are so nice. I could, cut these up and turn them into knives.
I'm gonna make a booby trap where these shoes go into someone's face. Bring her your little homemade weird magnet magic compass. She wants that.
That's sick, right?
That's
I love
so cool.
that.
I'm so glad John was there to be like, you've made a compass, because I was fully convinced it was
Did not
magic.
know what it was.
I was like, Saeed's doing spells in the woods. He's abandoned. He's like, I can't figure out this map. This map. I'm resorting to magic. I was like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Compass is so cool. I love
cool.
John explaining what Scouts is to Saeed. I thought that was so fun.
Adorable.
Of just like, he's just not American. He's like, what's a weebaloo?
Yeah. I mean,
what is a weebaloo?
what is a weebaloo?
Not
quite
what they're called in
frankly.
England.
There was this TV program on the telly when we were kids.
Oh, Waverloo!
Waverloo, which was great.
It was very
like-
gentle and sweet.
It taught kids yoga.
Yeah,
That
yoga.
was the plot of it. Because, a lot of these things, they teach you how to count, or they teach you, to be nice to each other, moral lessons, a lot of kids' TV programs. But this just straight up taught kids yoga.
Taught kids yoga. It would be like the wind chimes would sound, and then all these little cute little cartoon animals would sit cross-legged, and then they'd do yoga, and you would sit on the floor with them.
Yeah.
And then do the yoga poses, and they get kids on the show who do the yoga with them.
Yes, it was a mix of live action and cartoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was in a real forest. Or was it a cartoon forest? I can't remember.
No, real.
I think it was a real forest, but they were animated, and then they
Yes.
would get the kids. The kids were real.
Kids were real. But the thing is, at the end of the yoga session, they would always sit cross-legged and put their hands on their knees and close their eyes and breathe in, and the cartoons would float into the air.
Float up into the
and
air.
I would get so mad
Why don't I fly?
Every damn day I thought I was going to fly, and I didn't.
I'd be like, but I did all the yoga right, why am I not flying?
Fuming.
And I think really Waverloo is very much what John's going for.
Quite frankly, all of the, positive, mindfulness that I gained from the yoga was immediately lost by how angry I got that I didn't fly.
I was like, I'm calm and normal. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm angry.
If John was a show that was on CBeebies in the early 2000s, he would be Waverloo.
Rage included.
Rage included. That would be fun. That's our next biscuit.
What kids' TV shows?
Incredibly relatable ranking for everyone.
Possibly more niche. CBeebies shows we watched as children.
Just the ones that we watched as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, those scenes are super cute with Saeed, the Saeed and John scene where he's making the compass and they have a cute little chat, and then he goes to Jack and he's like, this compass is
broken.
Also,
I love when John gives Saeed the compass and he goes, don't you need this? And John's like, not anymore. What does that mean, John?
But the thing is, he's never needed it.
Yeah.
Because it's been broken this whole time, so he just knows. This is how connected John is to the island. He can just
I guess it's just
navigate
his,
it.
thing.
Yeah.
And maybe whatever, has broken the compass is also, it's his, synergy. Maybe he broke the compass.
Maybe. With the power of his mind. Yeah, but then we found out in the audio commentary that those two scenes were added in later because the episode was too short.
Yeah.
Which is mad. I'm like, they're the best part.
I know, they're the best bits.
Apart from Sun's Garden.
Sun's
Garden,
peak.
the more lore drop about the hatch, because I love the hatch.
Yeah.
It's so intriguing. I'm just like, what? We need
It's
to know more
just the most
about it.
crazy mystery, because it's of
Yeah.
all the things, if you start the show and you think, what's going to happen on this island? It's you've got this monster and you've got the weird, stuff that's going on, but I never would have occurred to me that there's going to be science involved, that it's going to be metal and robots or whatever. That's not,
That's quite a good tagline for the show. It never would have occurred to me that science would be involved.
It would never have occurred to me that science would be involved. But I love that, and I love what I love about Saeed is he's like, in the way that John is like the magical character, Saeed is like the science character, right?
Yes.
But he does a really good job of like explaining the science. I know nothing about science.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a drama student. I don't know about science,
Mm-hmm.
but I understand what goes on in this show.
You're looking at me to also say I studied English literature. I mean,
I'm just making a point. Like, look at us. We don't look. We're not science people, and but I understand the science that goes on in this show.
Mm. Well,
admittedly, some of it is bullshit.
Yeah, I still don't know how he made the compass.
Well, magnet, water. I don't know. But that, like, yeah.
Oh my god, Chekhov's sewing needle.
Do you think it's the same needle?
Yo, imagine! That'd be sick.
That would be so cool.
It all comes together. It all comes back around.
All comes back around to the pilot. I did not understand what you were supposed to do with a compass for a very long time.
What?
I did. You know when you're in like primary school and you do orienteering and they
Yes.
like give you the compass?
Which Saeed, he says he's doing orienteering.
He says orienteering.
Which I love that for him.
My immediate thought was like us in primary school in our like neon. They'd give us like neon orange raincoats.
They didn't give us any neon orange
They
raincoats.
did it once. It was raining. They made us do an up kip. It was raining, so they gave us all these orange raincoats. They pulled out of nowhere.
Well, they just made us put wellies and coats on.
And we had like maps, and then there's like flags on the field, and you just have to find the flags. But like, they'd give us the compasses and they'd explain, like, I understood the concept of north, east, south, west, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a good start.
understood the whole thing of, like, north is, like, forward, whatever.
Uh-huh.
I did not understand how you were supposed to, like, hold the compass and then turn so the arrow pointed to north and then walk north.
What did you think it was doing?
I didn't know.
Just telling you which way north was.
Just telling us.
Just in case you were
Because then I'd
wondering.
just be like, well, you follow the arrow, right? And no, like...
Only if you want to go north.
No, but I wouldn't turn it. I always assumed at any given moment that the arrow that was on the glass was pointing north.
Well, it is. The arrow always points to north.
No, but not the arrow that turns.
Oh, the
one that you
regular.
line it up
Yeah,
with.
Okay.
And so I was very confused about the whole affair.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And I just never, like...
I feel like we had the opposite experiences with primary school orienteering then, because I was the only one in my friendship group who understood how the compass worked. So I had to do all the work. Everyone else would just piss around and I had to do all of the...
So maybe that was
compass
me.
stuff.
Maybe I was pissing around. I don't remember what I did in orienteering, really. I just remember the one time we did it when it was snowing.
Wow.
And it was so much fun. Oh my god. It was the best PE lesson of my life.
That'd be the worst PE lesson of my life. Having to go outside in the snow.
It was so great. They didn't make us change. We were in our uniform and we just put on wellies and coats and they gave us like maps and we just kind of stomped around in the snow and then at the end they just let us throw snowballs at each other for like 20 minutes. It was great. Classic primary school before Christmas.
Yeah.
They just are like, fuck it, just do what you want.
Let's see what else I've got. Oh, I wrote bro got conked in all caps.
Yeah, something in the audio commentary they kept describing it as being brained.
Did they? I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that.
And they were like, the braining. When John brains Boone. And I was like,
I've never heard of that before.
I don't-
As a phrase.
the phrase John brains Boone does not conjure images of getting conked in the head. It just conjures gross images.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is his brain here?
That's their dynamic. John is Dr. Frankenstein and he's like the Igor.
He's the Igor. Is the Hatch the monster?
Yeah. That's what they're creating, you know? Sculpting it out of marble.
That's quite
and
good,
all that.
actually. That's quite a good analogy. I like that.
The
He's
dry
the
wit
Igor.
on this podcast.
He's-
Come on.
Is unmatched. And so I have a funny story. If we're coming back round to Boone, I have a funny story to tell. So I don't know which order to tell this story in. Is it funnier if I start with you or is it funnier if I start with Boone?
How am I related to Boone?
Okay, okay. Okay, I know what order I'm gonna tell this in. So, something you need to know, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, is we did, because we talked about how you said you were never gonna download TikTok, and then you did.
Oh, yeah.
So I have had TikTok for a very long time, and my mission, basically, I want to say the night we finished Lost, is I went on TikTok and I was scouring the internet. I was like, I need to see content, I need edits, and I found some very good ones. And I've since found the accounts and stuff.
There are some very talented people out there. Shout out to you if you're listening.
If you're a Lost editor, I love you. You're doing God's work.
You literally are.
Because I'm desperate.
Me too.
We're so desperate for content, we're doing this. Like, you know...
Come on. I mean, we're scraping the barrel here.
And part of that is that I would download the good ones onto my phone and send them to Ariel. And I have these save folders, you know. I have a Lost folder, I also have a Saeed folder, I also have a Jack folder. And I send most of them to Ariel. I don't send her the Jack ones because she doesn't care. Jack's more my thing. But I send her the Saeed ones. And one time I found this Boone edit. I don't remember what the song is. It's some stupid, it's like Cheerleader or something. It's some like 2010 pop song. And it starts... it starts with Boone telling Shannon you're being useless. And then it goes into a Boone edit.
I mean, why you would use that soundbite as a segue into your edit, I don't know.
And I downloaded it because I thought it was funny, and I sent it to Ariel. And the message I received immediately after was, "Don't send me Boone content, full stop."
Yeah. Don't send me Boone content. I couldn't believe it needed to be said. I thought that was an unspoken rule. Don't send me Boone content.
And the thing about that is, largely the clips are just standard like edit stuff. It's just like clips of Boone doing things. There's like one bit where he's like, I think it's the bit in the previous song where he's like pouring the water on his neck, stuff like that. But one of the clips in the edit is when he's all tied up and he's trying to get the knife. And it comes out of nowhere because all the rest of the clips are just like him talking to people. And then suddenly he's like grabbing... And it's like it's the moment where he gets it as well. So it's like the really intense when he's like straining or whatever. And I couldn't take that scene seriously. It's my first time seeing that scene, unsurprisingly, since seeing that edit, because we don't actively rewatch Hearts and Minds all the time.
Of course not.
And I just couldn't take that scene seriously. Because all I could think about was don't send me Boone content.
Put that boy in a situation.
Very much so. That's kind of John's onus for this episode.
Yeah, it is.
Was I have to put that boy in a situation.
He did. Yeah.
The whole, like,
he just decided that.
When I say, like, when I think John, maybe I relate to John more than I thought, because I often say of characters I like, I'm like, I need to hit him with a hammer. That's what John did.
That's what he does. That is what he does.
He just smacked him. He was like, I don't like you. Bonk.
Yeah. It's
put him
really
in a situation.
weird, because John's very calculated in this episode.
It's really quite sinister. It's a bit, like, horrible. Because also, like, obviously it's a hallucination.
Yeah.
But for a moment, I'm like, he's tied Boone up, and then he's gone and tied Shannon up as well. And, like, he has this kind of synergy with the island. I would assume he's kind of
able to summon
called the monster somehow to, like, put Boone in this horrible situation. I was like, what? Oh my god.
I mean...
And it's slightly less sinister than that.
But still, even at the beginning when he's doing his Michelangelo monologue, he's mixing up that drug paste.
Yeah, he knows he's going to do it.
He knows he's going to do it.
And, like, because, like, it's, like, the reason why he smacks him is because, like, he says he's going to tell Shannon what they're doing with the hatch, and he's like, I guess it's, like, you have to see why we can't do that. I think his goal is to, like, show Boone the magic of the island.
Well, his goal is, and I quote... I gave you an experience which I believe was vital to your survival. What could that possibly mean? Now, what could he mean by that?
Now, John, just back up. What do you mean by that? I think it's like he obviously believes that the hatch is very important.
Yes.
And that they, like, need to figure it out. And he thinks that him and Boone have to do that, like, together.
But your survival.
But survival is interesting.
Well, he thinks that
Just, like, life or death?
General life. Maybe he's trying to say, like, when we eventually get off this island, maybe, Shannon, like, you can't be so obsessed with Shannon, you can't let Shannon rule your life.
Maybe that's, like, if you look at it in the kind of scope of the flashbacks and stuff, maybe that's kind of the moral lesson that Boone learns from this.
Can't be so attached to her. But then it's like, I don't understand how hallucinogens.
But the thing is also John didn't know what Boone was going to see.
No.
Like in the scope of the show, it kind of works quite well, because it's like, then Shannon, like, gets killed and Boone's relieved, and that's the lesson he needs to learn, is that actually his obsession with her is hurting him. And it's like, what he needs is to get away from her, because, like, when she was dead, he was like...
Interesting. I was going to ask you about that. So do you think that's why he feels relief?
I think so, because I think it's like many things about Shannon. I think, like, he feels this responsibility over her of, like, with, like, if you look at, like, the asthma thing, he feels like, whether it's true or not, he feels like he has to look after her medicine, you know, he has to go be the one to go tell people she has asthma, she needs help. I think he also feels this, like, guilt over, like, his, like, whatever, you know, his mum and the money thing. Like, I think he feels guilty about that. And I think he feel, obviously, this, like, I don't want to call it love, that stuff that he feels towards Shannon, which is obviously distressing.
Yes.
For him.
Yeah.
And so I think he feels all this really intense obsession on many levels, and he doesn't enjoy it at all. And I think it being put on the island, it's like he can't escape her. Like, when, you know, he's playing tennis and she's in Australia, I don't think he's thinking about her all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, now he can't escape her, and I think when he's, like, she dies, it's over, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he wants her dead.
Yeah.
But I think it's like he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
I think you've probably summarised it really well there. I think, because I was trying to figure out which of those kind of things that you mentioned it was that he was feeling relief about, but I guess it's all of them.
Yeah, I think it's just like she's out of his life.
Yeah.
And that is just a huge weight.
Because I don't know as well if there's, because I thought there's maybe the guilt involved is also he feels guilty that he slept with her, right?
Yeah, I think
it's like he is always seeing her all the time and is reminded of that fact.
And that probably
he
feels quite gross.
Yeah.
And, like, also he probably, like, yes, he's like jealous and obsessive. I think he also probably feels quite guilty that he's like with Saeed. He's probably like, he knows that Shannon, that it's not going to happen.
They can't like
be together. And it's probably that, like, she's moving on and he's upset about that.
Yeah. But he also must feel pretty shit because she's just, like, massively manipulated him.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he also, like, this is the thing, he also is really angry with her.
Yeah.
And he also really hates her for that. And that she's swindled him out of all this money. And that she's manipulated his feelings.
Yeah.
And played on his feelings that she must know he's been feeling really horrible about for her own gain. So it's like there's all this horrible tangle of shit that he's feeling about her, and that, like, if she's dead he can just kind of put it all away.
Yeah. But then I guess what Locke says at the end is she doesn't need to be dead for that to happen.
You can do it anyway.
Just
yeah. Now that he knows that, like, I think if you try to have that conversation with him pre-hallucination, he would have been really arsey about it. But, like, now that he knows that he was relieved, it's like he can kind of put it all away. Hopefully, at least. Remains to be seen if it happens or not.
Yeah.
But I think that's, And I do think it's really fascinating. And I think also the really cool thing is Boone, like, comes out of the, like, back from the river, and there's a shot of him and he's all covered in blood. And then he comes through the trees to go talk to John, and he's not anymore. And, like, you don't notice until John says, "Why aren't you covered in blood then?" But you do see it.
That's cool.
So
That's
I didn't
very
notice
cool.
until we were watching it with audio commentary, because we obviously watched the episode again, and I went, oh my god.
Yeah.
It is like,
nice.
it does change, but you obviously just don't notice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I just have the ramifications written down here. I think someone said it.
The ramifications.
I think someone must have said the ramifications at some point.
Fuck. The ramifications.
And I thought it was funny, but I'm reading my notes and I'm just like, shit, the ramifications. Oh, okay, yeah. So actually, there were a couple more things I had to say about Jin and Sun
Oh, okay, nice.
that kind of got lost in all the other stuff. So first of all, I think it's really interesting that Kate doesn't tell Jack about Sun.
Of course not.
Because she's a girl's girl, but
She's
it's also
a girl girl.
like Jack has this thing of like, I need to know everything.
Yeah.
And she's just like so not feeding into that. I just think it's fun.
Because also, don't forget that like 2 days ago or whatever, he's like forced this awful secret out of her.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, they have all this flirty stuff, but I feel like she is a little bit mad at him.
Yeah, I think this episode is a bit of a like, it's like they're coming back to where they were.
Yeah.
And like trusting each other again. Like they have like, it's like a nice, it's not serious between them this episode.
Mhm.
It's like it's about seeds, and it's not like someone's gonna die. So I think they have a bit more of a kind of space to breathe. But yeah, I just think it's nice that she doesn't tell him. She's just like, he doesn't need to know.
No.
But the other thing, which is less nice, that I was gonna point out, is I've gotta say it, and I'm not happy about having to say it. But the thing is, in the interest of being not rational, objective, we were saying like the Jin and Hurley fish plotline is like the comic relief, whatever. It's all very funny, and it is funny, and the whole like you've got to pee on it, like that's hilarious.
Obviously.
But I think it needs addressing that Hurley also has some kind of nasty stereotypes in his head about Jin and Sun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And like, I love Hurley.
I don't think you should feel guilty or whatever it was that you said.
It's just like,
about
I love
having to say
Hurley,
that.
and Hurley's great, and he's so sweet and fun, but also he's the one who calls them Chinese like 5 times.
Yeah.
And he just like, I don't remember the specifics, but he says a lot of weird stuff about Jin and Sun. And like, I understand like in the context of Jin beat Michael up for no reason, but also him being convinced that Jin's like gonna like wants him dead because he didn't take the urchin, and also that he didn't want to take the urchin because he thought that Jin had like done something to it. I just think it bodes mentioning, because I think a lot of the time the not so great stuff is played off as comedy,
Yes.
especially with Sawyer.
1000%.
And so I think it's worth acknowledging that that is not just a Sawyer thing, that's a writer's thing.
Absolutely, it's the writers.
And that Hurley does that too.
Yeah.
Even though everyone loves Hurley and he's like the sweet, lovely character, he also has these problems.
Yeah, completely. And I think that, you know, they have this bonding moment, don't they, in this episode? And I think from this point forwards, we see Hurley kind of like reassess his prejudices and relearn and sort of like,
it's an opportunity to like have that challenged.
yeah, absolutely. So I do think, you know, it's absolutely worth mentioning, and it really pisses me off how the writers just think that this kind of stereotyping is funny.
Yeah. That they think it's normal, but also that they think it's funny.
Yeah.
And both of those things are not true.
No. The writers literally pissed me off so much in this episode. Like, everything. About, like, I mean, at first I was like, you know, when Shannon gets killed in the hallucination, I was like, finally, you know, at least we get to see Shannon brutally murdered in this episode, you know? But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is kind of a misogynistic fantasy. Do you know what I mean? It's giving very, like, slasher victim, you know, in a horror movie.
And it's also like, that goes on way longer than I remember it being.
Oh, I didn't think it did.
Like, I in my memory, it was like Boone escapes from John's thing. He hears Shannon screaming, he runs off into the woods, he finds her all mauled. That was all I remembered.
Okay.
And I thought it was just kind of that, and it was more of a, like, feverish, like, what... But it goes on for quite a long time.
No, but I think they do that on purpose because they don't want you to know that it's a hallucination.
I guess. But, like, I was just like...
I don't think those scenes are necessarily badly written or directed or anything, up until the point where we see her corpse, because it's giving very, like, the tall, beautiful blonde girl with all the cuts all over her, you know, and we just, like, see so many shots of her dead body, and it feels very...
No, it does feel a bit, gross.
Mm-hmm.
Although they did say apparently her shoulder is, like, missing.
Yeah.
And they don't even do a shot of that.
I know, they clearly, you know... They don't appreciate the hair and makeup department, the SFX department.
So, this was kind of posed by the writers in the audio commentary, but it's something I find interesting. At the end of this episode, it closes with John saying, "Follow me," and just walking off into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And Boone, do we see Boone follow him, or does he just sit there and, like, watch him?
I think Boone follows him.
I think Boone follows him. My question is, would you follow John? Because they talk about it in the commentary also in more of an abstract perspective of, like, would you trust Jack? Would you trust John? Where would your loyalties lie if you were there? And they say that that's something they, like, pose in the writer's room when they try and unpack the characters of, like, what would you do? I want to hear your thoughts.
Under what circumstance? Am I Boone in this scenario?
So
have I been hit, tied up, drugged?
So let's do both.
Okay.
So we'll do the specific one.
Mm-hmm.
When John says "follow me" to you, let's imagine you've been drugged and whatever you would have seen, whatever your experience would be.
Yeah.
That's a whole different question. What do you think your experience would be?
Oh my god.
And he says "follow me," what do you do?
I mean, it's a difficult one because I think I would be terrified of him and of spending more time with him because he's physically attacked me. But I would also be worried about what would happen if I didn't follow him.
He might physically
attack me. So I feel like I'm getting physically attacked in either scenario. But I would be very intrigued by the hatch. This is the thing. I'm too curious about the hatch to let it go. And also, you know, for Boone, the whole point is forget about Shannon, come with me, you know.
Yeah.
Forget about your old life. You're with me now. So dangerous. I've got to just run away and tell Jack or something and be like, Jack, protect me, please.
I think the same. I think I would feel really scared, but I would almost feel like I have to. Because also
I'd go to Kate. I'd be like, Kate, you'll never get to happen. And she'd be like, bitch, I cannot believe this guy. She would go have it out with him for me.
I think, yeah, I would feel like I have to, because also with all of John's talk about fate and, like, destiny and stuff, I'd be like, I have to. And I think one of two things is what I would do. I think I would either go to someone else, and I would go to Kate or, like, someone and just be like, just come with me. I wouldn't even explain. I'd just be like, John asked me to follow him about something. Just come with me. And then I'd kind of explain later. I also think by this point in the narrative, I would have told someone about the hatch. Personally, I'm so bad at keeping secrets.
But this is the thing. The whole reason he's done all of this is because he doesn't want anyone else to know about the hatch. He can't just, like, go and tell someone about the hatch.
I know, it would backfire on him massively if it was me, because I would have been running out the forest with, like, Ariel, you never fucking guess what we found in the woods. There's metal.
Yeah, real.
Or alternatively, I would just be like, well, fight fire with fire, and I'd pick up a big stick and take it with me.
You think you could take on John?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
I think hand to hand, I think...
Are you actually having a laugh?
If I have a big stick and I catch him unawares...
He's got 500 knives!
Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't know it was coming the first time when he smacked me, when he brained me. And I'm prepared this time. And I'm also a bit delirious because I'm coming down from this hallucination drug and possibly concussion. Almost definitely concussion, actually, if he's hit hard enough to bleed. And so I'm just like, at the moment's notice, I'm very on edge, and at any moment's notice of anything suspicious, clonking him around his bald head. There's so much surface area.
No, I don't think I could ever I don't think you can take John by surprise. He knows what's coming at every opportunity.
And I do feel like I'd swing. I just got a vision of me like swinging the branch at him and him turning around, just catching it, and being like, "You don't want to do that, Velvet." Me being like, "Well, you tried to kill me." But let's do the zoomed out version.
Okay.
So, if you were on the island, do you think you would trust John? Do you think you would trust Jack? Where do your loyalties lie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question. Let's go for at this point in the narrative.
Yeah, so forget about what you know about what happens in the future.
Yeah. Or what's happened in the past, like at a certain point before. I think John keeps himself to himself a lot, doesn't he? And a lot of the things that he's done that might be slightly questionable, he hasn't shared with the group. Yes. So if I was just an innocent bystander, I wouldn't know about any of that. And so all I'd really know is like the big speech he gives early on, the fact that he collects boar for the group, and stuff. So I think I would trust him.
See, it's interesting that you say that, because I think the same but the opposite. Like, let me get to it. Don't start laughing.
I know.
I know. I think like, obviously we don't know all the stuff he's done in secret.
Yeah.
I think the same. But also, I think that in that case, I wouldn't trust him because I don't know all the magic that he's been through.
That's true.
Because no one knows that he couldn't walk before.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knows, apart from maybe Boone, obviously he's been spitting all this weird spiritual stuff to Boone. But I wouldn't know that he's been going on about destiny and about, like, all of that. So what I would see is, like, a middle-aged white man who carries 100 knives and has been going into the woods and killing baby pigs. And I don't think I'd like him very much.
I don't think I'd like him, but I think I would trust him to protect the group.
I mean, I would trust him to keep us alive.
Yeah.
For sure. But I wouldn't want to be alone with him.
No. I agree. I think I would, if it came to the point, I guess it's the whole, like, caves or the beach thing, but it's not.
Caves. No question.
Well, we've been over this, haven't we? Because I'd pick beach, I think.
I think
but
we have had this discussion.
I still don't really know. But if it came to it where it was like, you either have to go on this expedition with John, or you have to go on this expedition with Jack. Well, expedition is interesting.
Expedition. Because if it's an expedition, I'm trusting John, but if it's, like, something else...
Yeah. I'd rather be in, like, a little team, in an orienteering team with Jack, but John is the one who actually knows how to track through the forest and stuff.
I think, like, if I had to be alone with one of them, I'd be less scared of being alone with Jack.
Yes.
I would not want to be alone with John.
And also you'd go to Jack. I feel like he'd just kill me. If you had a problem, you'd go to Jack, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a medical problem.
I would go to, I wouldn't go and actively seek out John, I don't think.
Because he's not going to help you.
No, he'll just be like, the island will give you what you need. He's like Moana. The island gives us what we need.
Yeah.
Why has no one edited Lost to that song from Moana? Sorry. No one's edited Lost to the Moana soundtrack. That song about, like, the island gives us what we need and no one leaves?
Yeah.
Come on! Get on that.
Oh my god. All those talented people that we complimented earlier.
Please.
Come on.
I'm begging.
Come on.
Tag us in it. Send it to us. I need that.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, I think, although, like, you know, I would believe in the magic of the island.
Sure. That's not really the question, though,
but that's the thing, is, like, if you're looking at, like, the magic of the island versus being obsessed with, like, the science stuff, I'd be more into the magic. Because also, as we've established, my instinct is just to believe in magic at any given moment. You know, I thought Saeed was doing spells in the woods. So, like, I would believe in that, but I think I wouldn't trust John. Also, at the end of the day, I do have a crush on Jack, so I would be with Jack. I would be like, oh, I'll go to the caves with you.
I think the real answer to the question of, like, you know, would you follow Jack, would you follow John, is Saeed.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Because he's like super practical, really helpful, really approachable, unlike either of them, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Saeed,
He's just
at the
got
end of
his
the
head
day,
screwed on.
even if you look at it in, like, what would I know if I was a survivor of the crash, I'm still trusting Saeed out of everyone.
Yeah.
More than anything. And I think, yeah, if I went to him and was like, listen, I'm worried about the thing in the woods, he'd be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna be fine. Like, he does the speech. Everyone forgets about Saeed's speech.
Yeah.
Because John's got his, like, moment with the knife, when he, like, throws the knife at Sawyer. And, like, Jack has his like, iconic speech. The whole, if we don't live together, we're gonna die alone. But Saeed's, when they come down from the mountain, he has this whole thing where he's really practical, and he's like, we'll siphon off water and we'll start rationing the food. And he gives everyone jobs.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would be like,
that's the guy I want leading
he's the guy
camp.
in charge.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's studying Rousseau's maps in this episode, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's trying to find stuff out about the island.
I'd be curious. I'd be like, maybe I can help. I don't speak French, but can I have a look at the map?
I did GCSE French, if that helps at all.
I mean, you'd probably be equally as helpful as Shannon. Maybe he'd give you shoes.
Give
If he gave me
those.
shoes, I'd be like, what am I doing with these? Imagine that interaction, but it's me, and I'm like, what the fuck are these? I don't look at me, you know, like I walk in heels. At the end of the day, the answer to the Jack or John debate, the answer is always Saeed.
Yeah. Or Kate.
Or Kate,
If you
actually.
needed
I would
someone-
very much trust Kate also, because not knowing she's a criminal,
Yes.
not knowing she's a wanted criminal, what I see is she's a girl's girl.
Yeah.
And if I have to be alone with any of them, at the end of the day, least threatened by Kate, probably.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the whole thing in the, like, pilot part 2 when they give her the gun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
we
people
trust Kate.
her. And I think rightly so, even though she is a criminal.
Oh, yeah, but she's also repeatedly proved. It's a thing of, like, it's the blank slate, you know? It's like, you've got to think, yeah, she's a criminal, but she's proved that she's trustworthy and she can be helpful. Yes, Saeed was a torturer, but he has proved that he's very practical and useful. You know, John worked at a box company, but here, he can hunt. Like, it's, everyone's had this fresh start, and you have to kind of look at them on the island as its own thing. Although, ironically, I guess Jack is the only one who hasn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I feel like, of all the characters I'd, like, most want to casually interact with Charlie, I'd just go up to him and chat with him. But I wouldn't want to do any missions with him.
No. It wouldn't end well.
No. It would go really, really badly.
Because it's like, you know, Charlie doesn't go on many excursions, but when he does, he's kind of the useless one. But we'd also be useless.
Yeah,
So
there could
it
only
would
be
just
one useless one.
The blind leading the blind, and we would
Yeah.
we'd get like 2 meters away from the camp and just turn into Lord of the Flies.
We'd be, like, setting fire and, like, freezing, and then, like, John walks through the woods and is like, hey, I was just coming to piss. What are you guys doing? You know who I'd trust, actually? Michael.
Yeah.
I think I'd really trust Michael, because he seems very nice, and also, like, the kind of fatherly thing. I'd be a bit like, well, he's you know, interested in our safety because he wants to keep his son safe, so I'd, like, trust his judgment.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about earlier how, like, John's always the one who's, like, set up as the father figure, but he's really not. Why isn't it Michael? Why is not
Yeah.
everyone gravitating towards Michael? I guess some of them are, like, more the same age as him. But,
Yeah,
like,
John's, like, older. That kind of is a big part of it, I think.
but still.
But, like, yeah, and Michael also, like, in Crisis, like, when the cave collapses,
He's
he
really good.
becomes so useful.
Mhm.
That, like, it's like he kind of gets that, like, he goes into, like, crisis mode and he's like, I'm useful. I really trust Michael, I think. My dream team,
Dream team.
Saeed, Michael,
And Kate.
and Kate, and Charlie just for fun.
Yeah.
And me.
Yeah.
That's
That's the dream team.
the team. I think we'd have fun.
Yeah, completely. We'd solve every problem on the island instantly.
We'd get into that hatch.
Yeah.
Give me 20 minutes.
20 minutes. It's really giving, like, D&D party. Because
Yeah.
Charlie's, like, the bard. Like, he's just there
Of course he's
playing,
the bard,
like,
look at him.
musical, you know, underscore. for
Oh, I
the-
mean, we have to bust out that list at some point. We have a
Oh, yes!
comprehensive
We
list
do.
of every character in Lost and what their D&D class is and what their alignment is. And I will say, objectively correct.
It is.
A lot of them.
We were really, this was another like 2 a.m. endeavour, and we were really, you know, when you get to that time of the night, you know, you're on a different plane, an intellectual clarity comes over you, and you just really thrive.
And the great thing about it is Ariel has played one game of D&D. I've played 3.
Yep.
And yet we know it.
We're experts, basically.
It's in our souls.
But yeah. But let's just real quick. I don't know if this correlates with the list, but so our party,
okay,
is Saeed, Kate, Charlie. It was the other one? Michael. And us two.
So Charlie's obviously a bard.
Obviously.
Because of everything about him. Who else? Who's who? I mean, Kate's a rogue.
Ooh, yeah, Kate's a rogue.
Because they're the, like, independent kind of thieves. Kate's a rogue.
Sneaky. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, like, I'm thinking, like, we don't have many magic users, because we've picked the practical ones.
That's true.
Other than Bard's magic, but they're not very useful. I've played a Bard. They're not very useful.
We can be the magic users.
We can, that's true. Oh, well, I'm a druid.
Oh, are you now?
That's my, like, class. Well, for ages I was like, oh, I'm a barbarian. And I was like, I don't want to be a barbarian. I'm a druid. I want to return to the moss, you know?
Yeah. I played as a rogue, actually. I had a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, rogue's fun. I've never done rogue, I don't think, but it does seem fun.
It was fun.
I think Saeed is, like, fighter. Because they're, like, very, like, jack of all tradesy.
Yeah.
Fighters, and you can learn a little bit of magic, or you can learn a little bit of skill in, like, someone else's proficiency, and you can, like, they're quite good at, like, everything, and they're quite good leaders as well, fighters. So I think Saeed's fighter.
Nice.
What would you want? We can't have 2 rogues. You have to pick another one.
What's paladin?
Paladin is, like, magical. They take a magical oath to, like, a higher power.
Ooh, sorcerer.
There's a lot of the terms, I'm not sure if some of them are, like, crossovers.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna pick warlock, because sorcerer, for me, I like the kind of dark, like, witchy vibe that it has for sorcerer, but I also feel like it would, I'm not sure how good of a spellcaster I would be, personally.
Yeah.
So I'll go warlock. That sounds a bit more my level.
Okay. Just based on vibe. I
vibe.
really don't know what Michael would be. Because I feel like he's very, like...
There's a crafty one, isn't there?
Yeah, he's very, like, practical. But also he's, like... He's like an artist, right?
Yeah.
And he's like but he's like an engineer.
What's the crafty one? What's that one?
Crafty one?
Yeah, there's a crafty one. My friend Edward played as one when we played.
It's not helpful. I don't know Edward.
Right, Google them. It's like, but it's not one of the standard. Well, like, it is a standard one, but it's not one of the ones that your brain immediately goes to.
Barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard, artificer.
Artificer.
Yeah, artificer is, like, it's not in the main ones. I think it was added later, which is why it's, like, not in the main ones. Yes,
I think
crafting.
Michael's
is
an
artificer. Yes.
Sick.
That's our party. I think that's a solid party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we do pretty well.
I think we would. We'd complete the island campaign.
I desperately want to write a Lost D&D campaign.
Because
it fits so well, because there's, like, magic, but there's also science.
Yeah.
And it's, like, an isolated... The whole, like, ragtag group of people.
Yeah.
Plane crash. Perfect. I'm gonna do it at some point. I'm sure I'll tell you guys all about it when I do.
It's going to be glorious.
It's gonna be great.
Gonna have to assemble, like, all of our friends who we
forced to watch
convinced
Lost.
to watch Lost.
Get them all together.
We basically, what happens when we're off air is we tie up our friends in that rope Japanese
situation.
Torture device that Boone is in, and we force them to watch Lost.
They have to lean forward to press play.
The remote, yeah. Change the channel.
We will see you next week for Special.
Yes, episode
which is
14.
A great episode.
It's
episode
really
14 Special is fabulous.
Please follow us on social media. You know, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Facebook, YouTube and Spotify.
Yes, that's all of them.
Yeah, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Leave little comments if you like what you hear.
Yeah, we read all of them.
We do.
It's so lovely, genuinely,
It's
to get
really nice.
Every review, every comment, every like new follower is like so
Makes
lovely.
us so happy because we just wanted to do this because we love Lost and we just wanted to share that with you all, and it's really nice to see that.
It's really great that we've kind of managed to get these people that want to listen to what we've got to say, and that like I feel like we're a little community, even if maybe we don't, you know,
I think
talk
it's really
directly
nice.
or anything. I think it's really lovely, and I, thank you all so much.
We love you guys, we really do. Please follow me at Ariel Hebditch on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yep. You can follow me also if you want, but I don't post anything that interesting.
I love how I just said nah. I meant to be like, no, you don't like use your Instagram in the way that I do.
Yeah, it's not like a professional account or anything. I just post about what I'm doing. And yeah, that's all I have to say for today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For listening. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.